Thank you everyone for joining us this morning on our YouTube channel, or whenever it is that you are joining us, and welcome. This week is Harvest Festival, and at Christchurch we are following and supporting the charity All We Can. This week our service is being led by Margaret Cook, and the reading that it's based on is from John's Gospel, chapter 6, verses 1 to 15, and this is known as the feeding of the 5,000. So I will read the reading, and then Margaret is going to offer a reflection. So from John's Gospel. After this, Jesus went across Lake Galilee, or Lake Tiberias, as it is also called. A large crowd followed him, because they had seen his miracles of healing those who were ill. Jesus went up a hill and sat down with his disciples. The time for the Passover festival was near. Jesus looked round and saw that a large crowd was coming to him. So he asked Philip, "Where can we buy enough food to feed all these people?" He said this to test Philip. Actually, he already knew what he would do. Philip answered, "For everyone to have even a little, it would take more than 200 silver coins to buy enough bread." Another of his disciples, Andrew, who was Simon Peter's brother, said, "There is a boy here who has 5 loaves of barley bread and 2 fish, but they will certainly not be enough for all these people." "Make the people sit down," Jesus told them. There was a lot of grass there. So all the people sat down. There were about 5,000 men. Jesus took the bread, gave thanks to God, and distributed it to the people who were sitting there. He did the same with the fish, and they all had as much as they wanted. When they were all full, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces left over. Let us not waste any." So they gathered them all up and filled 12 baskets with the pieces left over from the 5 barley loaves, which the people had eaten. Seeing this miracle that Jesus had performed, the people there said, "Surely this is the prophet who was to come into the world." Jesus knew that they were about to come and seize him in order to make him king by force, so he went off again to the hills by himself.
So, change begins with a bicycle. How does that connect with the story that we've just heard? Have you ever ridden a bicycle? I did many years ago, but once moving to Ilkley, the hills of Ilkley put me off. There were no multiple gears in those days, at least not for ordinary bicycles. Today we're thinking of harvest and all that it might mean to us. Some of us may remember huge harvest displays in the church, harvest suppers and dances. We sang lustily old harvest hymns, especially "We plough the fields and scatter" and "Come ye thankful people, come." More recently, we focused on water at Christchurch and projects in Africa, asylum seekers, food banks, and our own produce. But bicycles? The story from John's Gospel is very familiar to us, but it's much to say even now. An apparently unsolvable situation could be resolved by listening to Jesus, acting thoughtfully and not analytically. 5,000 people away from the town and hungry. They'd followed Jesus unprepared for the trip and needed food after listening to him for quite a time. Philip is working out the logistics of it all. I'm sure it would all have been on a spreadsheet had they existed in those days. Andrew, though, had observed there was a boy with a small amount of food, and he encouraged him to come forward with it to Jesus. Andrew knew that Jesus would be able to provide an answer. He didn't know how or what, but he trusted Jesus. There are many explanations given for what happened next. But whatever happened, it was a miracle. Enough food for all and plenty left over. The miracle started with something very small given to Jesus, and the result was a resounding change which solved a sticky problem. Lack of food, a boy offering his small meal, turned into enough for all, some even left over. A miracle had happened. The whole gospel message conveys change. Change as we come to know God, change as we follow in the way of Jesus, and change in the way we live our lives. It is also about growth out of the smallest seed of faith. With Jesus in our lives, the smallest action or thought can grow into an amazing development and life-changing decisions. Think of the many seeds planted during the pandemic as people sought wholeness and solace in their gardens and allotments. New gardeners and return gardeners were amazed about their flower, fruit and vegetable production. New actions came from seed thoughts, neighbourhood groups, telephone calls, making scrubs, shopping for those isolating, delivering food, and food bank growth. In Butegea in Uganda, a seed thought has developed into a project which improves lives and lifts people out of the cycle of poverty. We previously saw a video clip of how this had happened. The bicycle had become a tool of transformation. All We Can, which is or was the Methodist Relief and Development project, has partnered Fabio, another project run by Ugandans in Uganda, to initiate a big change in many lives. A strong partnership has formed between them, and both can give in their differing ways to develop a strong action against poverty. One bicycle can change a family and their future. It means children can get to school. It means people can be involved in looking after the bicycles. And it means that education can continue because a bicycle enables somebody to get to school very quickly so they can do their work and then go to school. Our small contributions can make a difference, whatever it is, given in the name of Christ. A small picnic meal can translate into food for all and more when offered in the name of Christ. And so can any small gift, any small idea, such as using bicycles to change lives. In Butegea in Uganda, change does begin with a bicycle.
Thank you, Margaret. And thank you to all who have joined us on YouTube. We do hope that you will find this reflection on the passage and reflection on the work of these charities helpful and inspiring. Goodbye to you all.